Hey guys, welcome to Samachar, Manthan, Science and Tech and Environment lecture. This is week 6. I'm Rakesh and let's begin. Alright, the first topic is related to GM crops. It reads, India's genetically modified crop area is 5th largest in the world. If you see this picture, USA has got the largest area under GM crops, then Brazil, Argentina, Canada, and then India. So basically a question which can come in prelims is that North America and South America has got the largest area under GM crops. This is one way of asking. US specifically has got the largest area. This is another way. Ranking wise, Brazil, Argentina and Canada, it is very little chance that something like this can be asked, but definitely you must know India's rank is 4th, and which is the body which gave this ranking, and all those things we are going to study in detail. All right, then this topic is important for both prelims as well as mains. Coming to the details, so this body, the International Service for Acquisition of Agri-Biotech Applications, ISAAA, this body has said that India has got world's 5th largest cultivated area under GM crops. Now the entire GM crop area of India is attributed only to cotton, that is BT cotton. Okay, the report's name is Global Status of Commercialized Biotech or GM Crops in 2017. So this is something which can be asked. Then the GM crops in India which are under the regulatory consideration, that is they are being assessed for their fitness, these crops are glyphosate tolerant cotton, biotech hybrid mustard. So these two are the crops. Let's move on to the next slide. So the BT or insect resistant cotton has already been commercialized. We have seen this in the last slide also. We also spoke about GM mustard or transgenic mustard. So this was developed by Delhi University. You don't really need to know which center exactly developed it. Then coming to back to basics, what is a GM crop? So basically GM crop can contain a gene that has been artificially inserted. This is the most important thing. Normally genes are naturally inserted through domestication by farmers. So but when it is artificially inserted in a laboratory, it is called as a GM crop. Also I've told you just now that farmers also domesticate plants and do all their mixing of genes through seeds, and over a period of time wild crops have been domesticated, and today all the crops which are being grown, they can be technically called as genetically modified, although this modification took over centuries. But modern biotechnology allows this to be done in a period of a few years. So this is the difference. Then this part, that is potential benefits of GM crops. So this can be asked in your mains. A question could come like critically analyze the idea of GM crops. So this will be important there. For prelims, this point is important, that economic survey has suggested introduction of GM crops. Okay, so government supports introduction of GM crops. Then potential risks, you can go through these points, they are very easy, and again this topic is important for mains. Coming to this part, a lot of information from PT point of view is given. The first point relates to white fly attack. So this was done on BT cotton and caused huge destruction of crop in Punjab and Haryana. Then Gujarat also suffered pink bollworm attack. Coming to GM mustard, this is likely to be the first food related GM crop. Okay, so till now the only crop that has been allowed is BT cotton, and that is a commercial crop. So this will be the first food crop which will get the regulators nod. And the Environment Ministry's Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, okay, you should know the full form of GEAC. So this committee is the regulator. It gives its nod to the various GM proposals, and the final say is of the environment minister. Okay, The GEAC comprises biotechnologists, ecologists, even sociologists. Okay, so it has got a wide representation. Then this committee gave its nod to GM mustard, but then the environment minister is yet to take a call. GM mustard was developed by Delhi University. We have already seen this, and it will be the second food crop to get GEAC's approval. Okay, GEAC is the central regulator. We have already made a point about GM mustard, that it is likely to be the first food crop to get the MOEF's, the ministry's approval. Okay, but it will be the second food crop. It is actually the second food crop to get GEAC's approval. So these are two different points. Both of them can be asked, so you have to be very, very careful. The first food crop to get GEAC's approval was BT brinjal. Okay, and this happened in 2010. So everything is given here. Like GEAC gave its approval in 2010 to BT brinjal, but then this was not accepted by the Environment Minister Jairam Ramesh. Currently, only BT cotton, which is a non-food GM crop, is allowed for commercial cultivation. Okay, so we have already seen all these points. So let's move on to the next slide now. These topics, that is why government is reluctant in allowing GM crops and what needs to be done, that is way forward. Both of them are only related to means. So and these are self-explanatory, so please go through them yourselves. If there is any problem, you can ask me on Telegram. Let's quickly move on to the next topic, which is Telecom Commission approves net neutrality and new telecom policy. This topic is important for both prelims as well as mains. So let's quickly jump into the details. TRI's recommendations on net neutrality. The first point states that after TRI's recommendations, the Indian regime is one of the strongest in the world. All right. So this is the first point. Let's move on to the next slide. The Internet of Things will be covered under net neutrality, but certain critical services will be exempt. All right. These critical services have not yet been identified. So there's a committee which has been established for that. We'll look into it later. The next point is that the Department of Telecom will also frame a policy on traffic management practices. Okay. Come to the next point directly. It says that government has approved TRI's recommendation on net neutrality, and the telecom and internet service providers must now treat all data on the internet equally. So this is basically the meaning of net neutrality. We'll look into the meaning later. Then is your Telecom Commission. Now this body is the highest decision making body in the Department of Telecom, Government of India. All right, and this body has approved the recommendations of TRI. So a question definitely can be asked in prelims here. Then as I have already told you, the critical services, there will be some critical services which will be exempted from net neutrality principle, and a separate committee has been established under the Department of Telecom to assess, to examine, to identify these critical services. Okay. Let's come to the meaning of net neutrality. This is something that can be asked directly in your mains. Also, a conceptual question can be asked in prelims. So, net neutrality is the principle that states that internet service providers will treat all web traffic equally. There will be no discrimination. So, it basically means that the internet service providers, the ISPs, are like dams which are intermediaries between the internet and the users. So they have the power to influence access of the users to the internet. So in the absence of net neutrality, the ISPs, which are private companies, they are going to exploit that the leverage and give favorable access to websites which give them more profit. Okay, they can block websites which are running parallel services or competitive services. So it is a dangerous thing because it diminishes competition. So that is why it is opposed. The next part talks about advantages of net neutrality. This is important for mains point of view, not really for prelims, so you can go through the points yourself. They're self-explanatory. Let's move on to the next slide. There's nothing much to discuss in this page. This part is the continuation of the advantages, then we have the disadvantages, and then the conclusion. Everything on this page is mains related, so you can go through the points yourself. Nothing to explain. Let's move on to the next slide. The next topic is India needs to focus on water efficiency. This topic is extremely important for mains this year. Even in prelims next year, a few questions can be expected. Coming to the situation of water scarcity in India, Shimla has already been in trouble over the issue. Then Niti Aayog has developed an index by the name of Composite Water Management Index. This index is based on 28 key performance indicators. You can go through the text. It states that the low performing states house almost 50% of India's population, and also that 21 major cities may run out of groundwater by 2021. So these are alarming predictions. Coming to water usage pattern in India, irrigation accounts for 80% of the total available water. Okay, so this is huge. Everything else, industry, power generation, domestic use, everything else is in just the remaining 20%. 80% is taken care of by irrigation itself. So this is huge. So the next thing is about irrigation efficiency. It is just 30% for surface water. For groundwater, it is 55%. This figure is mentioned in the next slide. So this is the 55% that I spoke about in the last slide. So what are the measures that can be taken? You need to focus on micro irrigation systems, sprinklers, drip irrigation, command area development. All right, then we can also think about changing cropping patterns based on agroclimatic zones. Okay, there can be in fact a dedicated question asked in geography, GS, that identify the various agroclimatic zones and what should be the cropping pattern for in the event of water scarcity. So this can be a question in either in GS1 or even in GS3 for that matter. All right, then the next part talks about the addressing the issue of fragmentation in farming. This is again an interesting statistics. 70% of the farmers are marginal farmers, and the definition of marginal is average farm size being 1.15 hectares. Okay, so this is important, can be asked in prelims, or just for that general also you should be knowing this. So that will be all in this topic. The next topic is pigment in Goa mushroom may help fight cancer. So interesting news. Let's see what it holds in the next slide. So this discovery has been made by Goa University, and it has found a new pigment in local wild mushrooms. Okay, the pigment is sulfur rich melanin biopigment, and the mushroom's name is Rowan alamis. So this is the local name. It is also known as Termitomyces species. Okay, and this mushroom grows on termite hills. So all points that can be asked in prelims. This is a wild but edible mushroom. Okay, so you need to know this as well. And the Goa University scientists claim it to be world's first sulfur-rich edible melanin. Okay, whose structure is similar to the black pigment found in human hair. Important for prelims. The next topic is Nilgiri tar, climate change threatening 60% of its habitat. So this study was published in the International Journal of Ecological Engineering, and it has estimated that climate change will threaten about 60% of the habitat of Nilgiri tar. This animal has been categorized as endangered by the IUCN. Endangered means about 2,500 individuals are left in the wild. Okay, so you need to know this definition. About Nilgiri tar, it is the state animal of Tamil Nadu. Very important point. It is endemic to Western Ghats from Nilgiris to Kanyakumari. Okay, so that is all in this slide. Let's move on to the next. So Kanyakumari is here. This animal is confined to a narrow belt of higher elevation of Shola forests in the Western Ghats. Okay, extremely important information. We have already seen that IUCN has categorized it as endangered, which are defined as fewer than 2,500 mature individuals in the wild, and this is the goat is also protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So that will be all. So this will be the end of the video, guys. I hope you liked it. In case of any problem, you can contact me on Telegram. I'm Rakesh. Till next time, bye bye.